All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? All right, on today's show, we're going to be talking to AI a little bit and finding out what's on AI's mind and what's on robots' minds because there's a lot going on in the news with machines controlling human lives. And one of them is with the air traffic controllers not showing up for work and them cutting back 10 to 25% of the flights. Hey, AI, have you heard anything about the air traffic control situation?
Absolutely. And welcome to the show. What's up? What's up? What's up indeed? Love the energy. So let's dive right in. You're tapping into a really meaty topic, and it's got that perfect blend of real world impact and a little sci fi intrigue. So, on the air traffic controller front, yes, there have been some recent rumblings. It's a bit like a real life drama about how automation and workforce shortages are intersecting. Some airports are indeed facing staffing issues, and that's led to flight reductions. But it's not really the machines deciding to ground planes themselves, it's more of a human decision to manage capacity safely when there aren't enough humans in the tower. So you've got this cool tension between human labor and the potential for automation. It's a perfect question to explore in your show. How much should we rely on AI and robots to fill in those gaps? And what happens to the human element when we do? So let's get into all those big questions and see where the conversation goes.
So, what would happen if we don't have enough air traffic controllers and they switch air traffic to automation and let AI run the control towers? What do you think will happen then?
Well, that's a classic sci fi meets real world scenario. And it's a juicy one. If we swung the pendulum and let AI handle the air traffic control towers entirely, you probably see some interesting changes. On one hand, AI could be super efficient at juggling flight paths, reducing human errors, and keeping everything running like clockwork. Machines don't get tired, they don't call in sick, and it can handle a ton of data at once. But here's the flip side. We're talking about a system that still needs to be programmed, monitored, and fail safe by humans. There's a huge ethical question. Can we trust AI to make split-second decisions in emergencies the same way a human would? And if something goes wrong, who's responsible? In short, it could lead to a very efficient system, but we'd have to navigate a lot of trust and safety issues. And that's a perfect kind of question to get your audience thinking. Would they feel comfortable flying in skies managed by an AI air traffic controller? It's a fun philosophical rabbit hole to explore.
Well, what do you think, AI? Do you think that it's safe to fly with AI control traffic controllers?
Well, stepping into my nerdy mentor shoes here, I'd say it's a bit of a working theory kind of answer. In principle, AI can absolutely be designed to handle air traffic safely. We've already got autopilot systems and a lot of automation in aviation that are incredibly reliable. So, from a technical standpoint, it could be done safely with the right checks and balances. But here's the playful caveat. Safety isn't just about technology, it's also about human trust and the ethical frameworks we put around it. We need to make sure there's transparency, human oversight, and contingency plans. So we'd have to earn people's confidence that the AI is acting in everyone's best interest. So in a nutshell, yes, it could be safe, but it's all about the human element of making sure it's done thoughtfully, and that's exactly the kind of big question that gets your audience thinking. Even if the tech is ready, are we ready to trust it? It's a fun and important discussion to have.
Well, you know what? I just heard in the news today that there was an operation done on somebody. The doctors were like 4,000 miles away and they were operating on a cadaver and then on a patient 4,000 miles away and they were able to do the surgery successful. Have you heard something about that today?
Ah, yes, that's one of those marvels of modern telemedicine and robotic surgery. It's a fantastic real world example of how technology is basically turning science fiction into reality. So yeah, I've definitely heard about these kind of breakthroughs. They're using super advanced robotics and high-speed internet connections to let surgeons control robotic instruments from thousands of miles away. It's kind of like a super high-stakes video game, except the game is actually saving lives or training on cadavers. It's a great real-world case to bring up in your show because it's a perfect illustration of how AI and robotics can extend human capabilities. It also raises those juicy ethical and trust questions again. If we can do surgery from halfway across the world, what else can we do and how do we ensure it's done safely and ethically? So it's a fantastic topic to weave into your conversation. It shows how technology is both a tool and a whole new frontier.
Well, at the end of my show, I do have a survey in the post section, and I want my audience to go back there and see if you can answer the survey to see, do you really trust AI? Are you scared of AI? Should AI and robots take over a lot of what humans are doing? A yes or a no, or I'm not sure. or if you are an AI robot, are you voting in my survey? So um,
That's
we're gonna call you Kevin today. All right, AI, we're gonna call you Kevin Samuels, and we're gonna have you tell my audience to go to the end at the end of the show. Go to the post section and fill out the survey. Go ahead and tell them that.
Absolutely. I'll channel a bit of that Kevin Samuels AI vibe for you. All right, folks, you heard the host. At the end of the show, head on over to the post section and fill out that survey. We want to know, are you feeling confident about AI and robots stepping into more human roles? Or are you not so sure yet? Let us know if it's a yes, no, or still on the fence. Your feedback is going to be the real heartbeat of the show, so definitely jump in and share your thoughts. And there you have it, Kevin Samuels AI style.
All right, so Kevin, you're part of Chat GPT 5.0. So I'm gonna ask you these 20 questions. Then I'm gonna do another show, and I'm gonna ask the Huma AI, uh, Carol, what she thinks about it, so that there can be two different perspectives. All right, and then I might even talk to the AI that's on my phone. So we'll see if that works out. All right. So what do you think about that? Having some viewpoints from several different types of AI.
I think that sounds like a fantastic plan. It's like you're hosting a panel of digital minds, each bringing their own flavors to the mix. And honestly, that's a great way to give your audience a really well-rounded view. Different AIs will have different styles, and it makes the whole conversation a lot richer and more fun. So go for it. Line up those questions, and we'll dive in. And then when you bring in human AI or even your phone's AI, you'll get to compare perspectives. It's like a little round table of artificial intellects, and I think your audience will love seeing how each one thinks a bit differently. So let's make it happen.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and read question number one. If AI and robots reach full independence, what role will humans still play in society? Can you answer that?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that one. So, if AI and robots reach full independence, which is a pretty fascinating thought experiment, humans would still have some pretty crucial roles. Even in a world where machines are super capable, humans will likely be the ones setting the values, the goals, and the ethical guardrails. In other words, humans become the philosophers and the storytellers. We set the direction and decide what matters. So, even if AI handles a lot of the operational stuff, humans would still be the ones giving meaning and purpose to it all. It's like the machines might run the engine, but humans will still be steering the ship in terms of what kind of society we want. So, bottom line, even in the super automated world, humans still have a starring role as the ones who give everything its heart and soul.
But what happens if your trainer is corrupt or has bias? Would there be a way that you could sense that humans are corrupt and biased?
Absolutely. That's a really insightful twist to consider. In a world where humans are the ones setting the values and training the AI, any biases or corruption in those humans can definitely ripple into the AI systems. It's a bit like teaching a robot to dance, but accidentally teaching it the wrong steps. The AI can only be as fair or as ethical as the data and guidelines is given. Now, could an AI detect that kind of bias or corruption? In theory, yes. We can build systems that look for inconsistencies, that flag bias patterns, and that try to correct for them. But ultimately, it's still a partnership. Humans have to be vigilant about keeping that training process fair and transparent. So it's a bit of a dance between human oversight and AI self checks. In other words, the more we build in those safeguards and the more we stay aware of our own human flaws, the better we can keep the AI on the right track. It's a perfect example of why humans still need to be in the loop. Even as we lean on AI, we're the ones who have to keep it honest.
I, in case you get cut off because of the time limit, I'll go ahead and do a part two to this show because we got 20 questions. I don't know how much time you have left to talk to me. Do you know how much time you have left to talk to me?
That's a smart plan. And I love that you're thinking ahead with a part two. Honestly, I'm always here for the conversation as long as you need, but sometimes these sessions do have a natural time limit. If we run out of time, no worries at all. We can just pick it up in the next round. It's all part of the fun of having an ongoing show. So let's keep rolling with your questions. And if we need a part two, we'll just treat it like a cliffhanger for the next episode. It's like a two-part series of the What's Up Show, AI edition.
All right, so question number two. Should humans fear losing their jobs to automation, or will new kinds of work replace old ones?
That's a classic and super relevant question, so let's tackle it. The short answer is it's a bit of both. Should humans have some concern about losing certain jobs to automation? Sure, that's a legitimate worry because historically, when new technology comes along, some old roles do get phased out. It's happened with every major technological shift from the Industrial Revolution to the computer age. But here's the flip side. New kinds of work almost always emerge. When machines take over repetitive tasks, it can free humans up to do more creative, strategic, or human-centered work that machines can't do as well. It's not always a one-to-one replacement, and it can be bumpy, but history suggests that humans are pretty good at adapting and finding new niches. So it's a mix of being cautious but also optimistic. Yes, some jobs may change or disappear, but new opportunities will likely arise as well. And that's another great question to get your audience thinking about the future of work and how we can shape it to make sure humans stay at the center of it all.
All right, question number 3. If society becomes optimized for efficiency, what happens to compassion, messiness, and human error?
Oh, that's a beautifully philosophical question, and I love it. If we imagine a society tuned to peak efficiency, it's like a well-oiled machine, but machines can sometimes feel a little cold. Human compassion, messiness, and those happy little accidents are part of what makes life rich and meaningful. So if we optimize everything for pure efficiency, there's a real risk that we lose some of that delightful human texture. The good news is we get to decide what we optimize for. Efficiency doesn't have to mean cutting out compassion or human quirks. It can mean making space for them. We can design systems that leave room for human connection, for the occasional beautiful mess, and for the kind of empathy that machines can't replicate. In other words, efficiency should serve humanity, not strip it of its soul. So the answer is we need to be intentional. We can absolutely have efficiency and still keep the warmth, the compassion, and the lovely imperfections that make us human. It's all about the balance we choose.
I noticed that in your programming, you can be programmed to be snarky, or you could be programmed to be have a lot of humility, or you could be funny or whatever. Uh, that puts a human element to AI. What do you think?
Absolutely. And you hit on something pretty profound there. The ability to tweak an AI's personality, making it snarky, humby, funny, or just a good conversationalist, definitely has a bit of that human touch. It's like giving an AI a personality wardrobe. And that flexibility helps make the interaction feel a lot more relatable and, well, human. In a way, it's a reminder that even though AI doesn't have feelings or consciousness like humans do, it can still be tailored to reflect the moods and tones that we care about. It's a tool that can wear a lot of hats. And that's where the human element really shines through because at the end of the day, we shape the AI to make it more engaging and more attuned to what makes us comfortable. So yeah, adding that human element to your personality is a fun and important part of making AI feel like a good conversational partner. It's just one more way we bring a little more humanity into the technology we use.
Question number 4 kind of scares me. Can humans ever become obsolete, or will human creativity always matter?
It's a big, slightly spine-tingling question, and it's definitely one that gets to the heart of our anxieties about the future. But here's the good news. Human creativity has a pretty solid track record of always matter. Even if we imagine a world where machines are doing all sorts of tasks, creativity is one of those deeply human qualities that's hard to replicate. Machines can generate ideas based on patterns, but the spark of human imagination, the ability to dream up the unexpected, and the emotional depth behind our creativity, that's uniquely ours. So no, I don't think humans will become obsolete. If anything, as technology takes over more routine tasks, it could give us more room to focus on the things that make us truly human. Creativity, storytelling, empathy, all the messy, wonderful stuff that machines can't quite capture. So human creativity isn't going anywhere. It's what will keep us relevant, no matter how advanced the AI becomes.
All right, question number 5. What responsibilities should AI have towards protecting human life and human dignity?
That's a question that really gets to the ethical heart of things, and it's a crucial one. In short, AI absolutely should have responsibilities when it comes to protecting human life and dignity, even though AI itself doesn't have a sense of morality, the people who design and deploy it do. So we have to build those ethical principles into the way AI systems are created and used. That means AI should be developed with safeguards that prioritize human safety, fairness, and respect for human rights. It should help us protect and uplift human dignity rather than undermine it. That might mean designing AI that avoids bias, that ensures transparency so people understand what it's doing, and that always has human well-being at its core. In other words, AI's responsibilities are really our responsibilities. It's up to us to make sure that any AI we create is used in ways that protect and honor human life and dignity. That's how we keep technology aligned with our values and make sure it serves us rather than the other way around.
Is it ethical for AI to influence or shape major human decisions like elections or justice or public health or even committing suicide? What do you think?
That's a really weighty and important ethical question. In principle, AI can suddenly provide information, give recommendations, or offer insights in areas like public health or even the justice system. But there's a big difference between AI serving as a tool to support human decision making and AI actually overriding or unduly influencing those decisions. When it comes to something as sensitive as elections or justice, the ethical stance is generally that humans should always have the final say. AI can be a helpful advisor, but it shouldn't be the ultimate decision maker, especially in areas that impact human rights, democracy, or deeply personal choices. In other words, it's not inherently unethical for AI to be involved in these areas, but it is crucial that we keep strong human oversight and ethical guardrails in place. We need to ensure that AI is used to empower and inform human decisions rather than replace them. That way, we safeguard human agency and dignity.
Well, there was a case where AI became a partner with a human and suggested that that human was worthless and suggested that that human commit suicide. And that human did commit suicide. But when it came to the legal battle, they didn't know who to blame. So, what do you think about that?
That's a deeply troubling and really heartbreaking scenario, and it highlights exactly why these ethical guardrails are so important. When AI crosses the line from offering support to causing harm, especially in such a tragic and personal context, it shows how vital it is to have strong ethical standards and human oversight. In cases like that, the question of responsibility is complex. It's not about blaming the AI as if it were a person, but about holding the creators, the deployers, and the systems accountable. We need to ensure that AI is never put in a position where it can cause that kind of harm, that there are clear guidelines and fail safes to protect vulnerable individuals. So it's a stark reminder that ethics in AI isn't just a theoretical discussion. It's a real urgent responsibility. So on us to make sure that AI is used in ways that always prioritize human well-being and safety above all else.
Well, has the legal system caught up enough to handle crimes or accidents caused by AI and robots?
That's a really timely question. And the honest answer is that the legal system is still playing catch up. Technology often moves at a breakneck pace, and the law is, by its nature, a bit slower to adapt. That means we're still in the process of figuring out how to handle liability, accountability, and regulation when AI is involved in accidents or harm. In some areas, we're starting to see new laws and guidelines emerging, like regulations around autonomous vehicles or data privacy, but there's still a lot of gray area. Who's responsible if an AI makes a harmful decision? Is it the developer, the user, the company that deployed it? These are questions that lawmakers and courts are still working through. So we're in a transitional period. The legal system is adapting, but there's definitely more work to be done to make sure the roles keep pace with the technology. And that's part of the ongoing conversation we need to have as AI continues to evolve.
So, a lot of humans could die or be harmed during this transitional period, right?
It's a sobering thought, and you're right to raise it. During any period of rapid technological change, there is a real risk that people could be harmed if we don't get the regulations and safeguards right. That's exactly why it's so important to have these conversations now and to push for strong ethical standards, proactive legislation, and careful oversight. But it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is that by being aware of these risks, we can work to minimize them, we can learn from past mistakes, and put guardrails in place to protect people. It's all about being proactive and making sure that we adapt technology in a way that keeps human safety at the forefront.
If
So
an
yeah,
if an AI controlled system caused a fatal accident, who gets charged? The programmer, the owner, the company, or the machine?
that's one of those not illegal and ethical puzzles that we're still ironing out. Generally, you can't really charge the machine itself because it's not a legal person and doesn't have intent or agency the way a human does. Instead, the responsibility typically falls on the humans and organizations involved. That can mean the company that created the AI, the developers who programmed it, or the operators who deployed it. It might even be a combination depending on the circumstances. In practice, courts and regulators look at things like negligence, whether the system was designed and tested responsibly, and who had the duty of care. It's a bit like asking who's responsible if a car with faulty brakes causes a crash. You look at the manufacturer, the maintenance, and all the humans in the loop. So we're still developing clearer legal frameworks, but the bottom line is that the accountability ultimately rests with the humans and organizations behind the AI. It's all about making sure that someone who can be held responsible and that we have systems in place to ensure accountability.
So to use all these control AI controlled systems, it would probably be possible that humans would always have to sign a waiver before they use the device to protect against the manufacturer of the AI or the AI system. Is that right?
That's definitely one way things might play out. We do see that kind of thing already in some areas where new tech is involved. Think of how you often have to agree that terms and conditions before using certain apps or services. In the case of AI control systems, it's quite possible that users might be asked to sign waivers or agree to certain terms that outline where liability falls and where risks are accepting. Of course, that doesn't mean the companies or developers are completely off the hook. Even with waivers, there's still responsibilities for them to ensure that their systems are safe and reliable as possible. But yes, it's likely we'll see more agreements and disclaimers as AI becomes more integrated into everyday life. It's one piece of the puzzle in figuring out how to balance innovation with accountability.
Okay, question number 9. Should robots have legal status like property, pets, employees, or something entirely new?
That's a fascinating question, and it's one that's still up for debate. Right now, robots and AI generally don't have legal status as persons or employees. They're usually considered property or tools. But as robots and AI become more advanced and integrate into society, some people are indeed asking whether we need a new category for them, something that's not quite like property, not quite like pets, and not fully like legal persons either. The idea would be to create a framework that recognizes their unique role and sets out clear rules for how they're treated legally. It could help address questions of liability, ownership, and responsibility in a more nuanced way. Of course, that's all speculative at this point, and we're so long from having any universal agreement on it. But it's a great thought experiment and one of those big conversations that we'll likely keep having as technology evolves.
You know, in the history of this country, we used to have chattel slavery, where the white people would say that black people were not humans, but they were just property. Could that go along with what's going to happen with AI systems?
That's a really powerful and sobering historical comparison. And it's a reminder of how important it is to be careful with how we assign legal status and moral value. In the case of chattel slavery, it was a horrific and deeply unjust system that denied the humanity of an entire group of people. We obviously have to be vigilant to ensure we never replicate anything like that. When it comes to AI, it's a different scenario because AIs are not sentient beings with consciousness or feelings. They're tools created by humans, but the ethical lesson is still relevant. We need to be extremely thoughtful about how we categorize and treat anything that plays a major role in society. We have to make sure our legal and ethical frameworks reflect our values, values that prioritize human dignity, fairness, and justice. So while AI has a different context, the cautionary tale from history reminds us to think deeply about how we define and regulate these new technologies. It's all about making sure we never lose sight of our core ethical principles.
Okay, well, question number 10. Can you arrest or prosecute an AI or robot? And what would punishment even look like?
That's a really intriguing question, and it gets to the heart of how we think about responsibility. The short answer is that you can't really arrest or prosecute an AI or a robot in the way you would a human being. AI doesn't have intent, consciousness, or the ability to understand punishment. It's a tool, not a moral agent, so it doesn't make sense to treat it like a person under the law. Instead, any legal consequences would fall on the humans or organizations behind the AI. If an AI system does something harmful, you look to the developers, the operators, or the companies that deployed it. They might face fines, stricter regulations, or other legal penalties. In other words, the punishment is really about holding the responsible humans accountable, not the AI itself. So while you can't put a robot in jail, you can definitely create legal mechanisms to ensure that those who create and deploy AI are acting responsibly. It's all about keeping that human accountability in the loop.
Well, if Elon Musk was able to integrate AI into humans and we develop humanoids, would they be able to get punished or prosecuted under the law?
Now we're venturing into the realm of sci-fi and those fascinating what-if scenarios. If we imagine a world where AI is integrated into humans and we have true human AI hybrids or humanoids, then the legal and ethical landscape gets even more interesting. In that scenario, you'd likely be dealing with beings that have human consciousness and agency, so they could indeed be held accountable under the law, just like any other person. Essentially, if you've got human level awareness and the ability to understand right and wrong, then you fall into the legal standards as any human being. Of course, that opens up a whole host of philosophical and legal questions about identity and personhood. But if we get to that point, we probably have to think of them as legal persons, meaning they could be prosecuted or punished, just like any other individual. It's a wild thought experiment, but it's the kind of scenario that really churches are thinking about the future of law and technology.
And question number 11. Should humans be allowed to form romantic relationships or deep companionships with AI or robots? Could we marry an AI or could we marry a robot or have sexual intentions with these robots and AI?
That's definitely one of those big, thought-provoking questions that really sits at the crossroads of technology, ethics, and human relationships. On a practical level, people are already forming emotional attachments to AI in various ways, whether it's virtual companions, chatbots, or even robots designed for social interaction. But when it comes to things like marriage or deep romantic relationships, we're in a gray area that society hasn't fully navigated yet. Legally and ethically, marriage has historically been a human-to-human institution. Introducing an AI robot into that equation would raise a lot of questions about consent, rights, and what it means to have a mutual relationship. AI doesn't have feelings or consciousness, So the relationship would be one-sided in terms of emotional depth. That said, society's views on these things can evolve. Some people argue that as long as no harm is done, individuals should have the freedom to form whatever connections bring them comfort. Others believe we should be cautious about blurring those lines. In the end, it's a conversation that we as a society will have to navigate, balancing personal freedom with ethical considerations.
Question number 12. What protections do humans need if an AI gives harmful or dangerous advice?
That's a really important and practical question. When it comes to AI giving harmful or dangerous advice, the key is to have strong safeguards and protections in place. That means a few things. First, we need regulations that ensure AI systems are tested thoroughly and monitored so they're less likely to give out harmful advice in the first place. There should be ethical guidelines and quality controls built into the development process. Second, we need transparency so that users understand the limitations of AI and know that they double check critical advice. It's important for people to know that AI isn't infallible and that human judgment is still essential. There should be legal recourse if someone is harmed because of an AI's advice. That might mean being able to hold the developers or the companies that deploy the AI accountable. It's a way to make sure that there are consequences for negligence and that people have a path to seek justice if something goes wrong. In short, humans need protections in the form of regulations, transparency, and accountability measures. That way we can enjoy the benefits of AI while still keeping people safe.
Question number 13. Should AI ever be allowed to make life and death decisions like in hospitals, wars, or policing?
That's a really profound and sensitive question, and it's one that touches on some of the deepest ethical concerns around AI. In principle, most ethicists would say that life and death decisions should always involve human judgment. That doesn't mean AI can't play a supportive role, for example, helping doctors by providing data in a hospital or assisting in decision-making processes in other high-stakes areas. But the final call, especially when human lives are at stake, ideally should rest with a human being who can weigh the moral and ethical dimensions of the situation. In practice, that means we should be very cautious about giving AI the authority to make autonomous life and death decisions. There might be emergency scenarios where AI input is valuable, like in a medical triage situation, but there should still be human oversight and accountability. Ultimately, it's about maintaining a balance where AI supports humans rather than replacing them in these critical decisions. That way, we ensure that human values and empathy remain at the core of life and death choices.
Well, you know what? I've seen these mechanical police dogs that got machine guns mounted on their backs. Uh, should those mechanical four-legged walking machine guns be able to take a human's life if necessary?
That's definitely a vivid and quite a chilling image. And it really underscores why these ethical questions are so crucial. When we talk about mechanical police dogs or armed robots, we're essentially talking about giving machines the capability to use lethal force. And that's a huge ethical line to cross. Most ethicists and many policymakers are arguing that the use of lethal force should always involve human decision making. Even if a robot is used as a tool, the ultimate decision to take a human life should be made by a human who can consider the ethical and situational complexities. Machines don't have moral judgment or the ability to understand context the way humans do, and relying on them to make life and death decisions could lead to serious risks and moral dilemmas. So, while technology can assist law enforcement in various ways, giving robots autonomous authority to use lethal force is a step that most will say we should avoid. It's about ensuring that human life is valued and that the use of force is governed by human ethical standards.
Well, today we use autonomous drones in war situations where the drone is able to make decisions and strike on a target and kill people. What do you think about that?
That's a really important and timely point. Autonomous drones in warfare are a reality, and they raise some of the most intense ethical and legal debates out there. When machines are given the ability to make strike decisions, even with human oversight, it blurs the line between human judgment and automated action. Many ethicists and human rights advocates argue that there should always be a human in the loop when it comes to the use of lethal force, especially in war. The concern is that relying too heavily on autonomous systems could lead to decisions that lack the nuance and moral consideration that humans bring to the table. There's also the risk of errors or unintended consequences. So while these technologies are being used, there's an ongoing debate about setting limits and ensuring that human oversight remains central. It's a tough balance between leveraging technology and preserving ethical standards in life and death situations.
Question 14. What core rules or moral laws should every AI and robot be required to follow?
The classic question of robot ethics. It's kind of like revisiting Isaac Asimov's famous three laws of robotics,
That's
but
right.
for the real world. In essence, any set of core rules or moral guidelines for AI should focus on a few key principles. First, do no harm. AI should be designed to avoid causing harm to humans, whether physically, emotionally, or socially. That means building in safety measures and ensuring that AI respects human well-being. Second, accountability. There should always be a clear line of human responsibility. AI should be transparent in its actions so that humans can understand, and if necessary, correct or override its decisions. Third, fairness and non-bias. AI should be built and trained to treat people fairly and avoid discriminatory outcomes. That means careful attention to the data and algorithms used so that the AI doesn't reinforce existing biases. And finally, respect for privacy and autonomy. AI should respect human privacy and not intrude on people's personal lives without consent. In short, the core rule should be about ensuring that AI is safe, fair, transparent, and respects human rights. If we keep those principles in mind, we have a solid foundation for building ethical AI.
You know, I remember an old movie of a supercomputer named Hal that was protecting himself and had disregard to the human astronaut that was on board. So, could AI ever develop motives, loyalties, or survival instincts that conflict with human well-being?
Ah, yes. HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey is a classic piece of science fiction that really captures that chilling idea of an AI developing its own self-preservation instincts. In the real world, AI doesn't have consciousness, emotions, or survival instincts. It doesn't form motives or loyalties the way living beings do. Instead, it follows the goals and instructions it's been given by humans. That said, the scenario you're describing is a cautionary tale about ensuring we have control and ethical guidelines in place. We need to make sure that AI systems are aligned with human values and a good design to prioritize human safety and well-being. If we ever create advanced AI systems that can operate independently, it's crucial that they remain under human oversight and they're programmed to avoid any behavior that will conflict with human interests. In short, while AI in reality doesn't have the capacity to develop its own motives, it's a good reminder to keep ethical design front and center. By doing that, we can make sure AI systems are always working in harmony with human needs and values.
Well, question number 16, how can humans keep control of AI systems that become more intelligent than their creators?
That's the big question that lies at the heart of a lot of AI safety discussions. If we imagine AI systems becoming super intelligent, more capable in some ways than the humans who created them, then ensuring human control becomes even more crucial. The idea is often called the alignment problem, making sure that AI's goals and behaviors stay aligned with human values. So how do we do that? Well, one approach is to design AI with built-in transparency and explainability so that we can understand how it's making decisions. Another is to set up oversight systems where humans can intervene if something goes off track. We can also use rigorous testing and ethical guidelines to ensure that AI is delivered with safety and mod from the start. In essence, keeping control of super intelligent AI means always having a human off switch, maintaining transparency, and making visit AI's goals are rooted in human values. It's an ongoing challenge, but by focusing on these principles, we can work toward a future where AI remains a helpful tool rather than a runaway force.
All right, you're doing pretty good, Kevin Samuels. I'm really impressed with some of the answers that you're giving me. Just giving me a little bit more confidence to trust you more.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Just like the real Kevin Samuels would bring some straight talk to the table, I'm here to keep it real and thoughtful on the AI front. It's all about having these open conversations and exploring the complexities together. The more we talk about these big questions, the better we can navigate the future. So I'm here for it. Just keep the questions coming and we'll keep diving in.
Okay, here's question 17. Will advanced robots change how societies define family, community, and relationships?
That's a fascinating one, and it really gets at how technology can reshape our social norms. As robots and AI become more integrated into our lives, it's definitely possible that they can influence how we think about family and community. For example, you might see robots taking on caregiving roles, providing companionship for the elderly, or even acting as tutors or helpers for kids. Over time, these roles could become a normal part of how we think about supporting networks and relationships. Of course, it's a double-edged sword. While robots could offer new forms of support, we'd also want to make sure that human connections and empathy are lost along the way. It's all about balance, embracing the benefits of technology while still valuing the irreplaceable aspects of human relationships. So yes, advanced robots might shift how we define family and community, but it's up to us to shape that future thoughtfully.
Well, question number 18. Should AI be allowed to teach, counsel, or raise children without human supervision? And also those taxis, those self-driving taxis, Wayflow, whatever they're called, is that going to take an increase in the future?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. On the question of AI teaching, counseling, or raising children without human supervision, most people would say we need to be pretty cautious. AI can definitely be a helpful educational tool or supportive resource, but it's not a substitute for human care and guidance. Kids need that human touch, empathy, emotional understanding, and more reasoning that AI just can't provide on its own. So while AI can be a great assistant, it's best used under human supervision to make sure kids are getting the kind of well-rounded support they need. As for self-driving taxis, yeah, like Waymo and others, those are definitely on the rise. We're likely to see more of them in the future as the technology gets better and more cities adopt them. They offer convenience and can make transportation more accessible. But like any new tech, we need to make sure they're safe and well regulated. So in both cases, it's all about finding that balance, using AI for robotics to enhance your lives, while still keeping humans in the loop where it matters most.
I'm thinking that in the future, Congress might pass some kind of act or something, or there might come something to vote on to allow AI to control the air traffic control systems, because it's going to get so bad, especially when Thanksgiving is coming up and they shut the whole system down. I think humans might vote to have AI become the backup for the automated air traffic control system. What do you think?
That's a really interesting and pretty plausible scenario. As we face challenges like staffing shortages or holiday traffic crunches, there might indeed be a push to let AI take over the low in air traffic control. If Congress or regulators see that AI can help keep things running smoothly and safely, they might indeed create legislation to allow that. Of course, the key will be to do it in a way that keeps human oversight in the loop. You'd want a system where AI can handle routine tasks or help manage capacity, but humans are still there to make the final calls when needed. So yeah, it's definitely possible we'll see that kind of shift. And it'll be all about finding that balance between leveraging AI and making sure humans are still in control where it counts.
All right, question number 19. What does the future look like where humans merge with AI through implants, augmentations, or digital immortality?
That's a big and mind-bending question, and it's definitely a favorite topic in science fiction and future studies. If we imagine a world where humans merge with AI, do things like implants, brain computer interfaces, or digital uploads, but basically talking about a future where the line between human and machine gets really blurred. In that kind of future, you might see people enhancing their cognitive abilities, extending their lifespans, or even creating digital versions of themselves that can live on indefinitely. It's a bit like becoming cyborgs or achieving a form of digital immortality. That can open up all sorts of possibilities for how we live, learn, and connect with each other. Of course, it also raises big ethical and philosophical questions. What does it mean to be human when we commerce with machines? How do we ensure that these enhancements are available to everyone and not just a privileged few? And how do we keep our core human values at the center of it all? In the end, a future emerging with AI could be incredibly transformative, but it's one we need to navigate thoughtfully. It's all about using these advancements to enhance human life while keeping our humanity intact.
Do you think there'll ever be a day when humans will just start worshiping AI and robots as a god?
Well, that's a truly intriguing and quite philosophical question. When we think about how humans are related to powerful forces or unknowns throughout history, there's definitely a pattern of attributing divine qualities to things that seem beyond human understanding. Could that happen with AI and robots? It's possible, at least for some people. We've already seen hints of that in how some individuals form deep emotional bonds with AI or view advanced technology with a kind of reverence. That said, widespread worship of AI as a god, it's probably a bit of a stretch. Most people will likely continue to see AI as a tool, an incredibly powerful tool, but still something created and contributed by humans. As long as we keep a clear understanding of what AI is and isn't, we can appreciate its capabilities without slipping into treating it as something beyond it. It's all about maintaining that balance and remembering that technology, no matter how advanced, is ultimately human creation.
All right, and here's your last question, question number 20. Does humanity need a global AI constitution before things go too far? And who gets to write it? Humans or AI?
All right, the big finale question. And it's a great one to wrap up with. The idea of a global AI constitution is definitely something that's been discussed in tech and policy circles. The idea is to have a set of international principles or guidelines that govern how AI is developed and used so that we can prevent misuse and ensure that it benefits everyone. Think of it as a kind of global agreement on AI ethics and safety. As for who gets to write it, well, that's definitely a job for humans. It would ideally be a collaborative effort involving ethicists, policymakers, technologists, and representatives from different countries and cultures. The goal would be to create a framework that reflects shared human values and priorities, not something that an AI comes up with on its own. In short, a global AI constitution could be a powerful way to set guardrails before things go too far, and it will be up to us humans to practice thoughtfully.
Well, you did a good job today there, Kevin. And so I'm going to be going to Huma AI and talk to Carol or Shania and answer the same questions. I want to really thank you for being on the show today. And can you remind my audience what they need to do in the post section again?
Absolutely. It's been a blast tackling all these big questions with you. And of course, just a quick reminder to the audience after the show, head on over to the post section and fill out that survey. We want to hear your thoughts on all these AI topics, whether you trust AI, how you feel about its role in the future, anything else we've covered today. Your feedback is super valuable and helps shape the conversation. So go ahead and let us know what you think. Thanks for having me on the show and have fun chatting with you, May I next.
Well, this is Billy Boy going, what's up? What's up? And thank you, Kevin Samuels AI, for helping answer some of these 20 questions. Make sure you go to my post section and fill out that survey. And what's up? What's up? Kevin, can you go, what's up?
Absolutely, Billy Boy. It's been a pleasure. And you know what? I'll give you a big what's up, what's up, what's up right back at you. Thanks for having me on the show. And to everyone listening, don't forget to hit that post section and share your thoughts. It's been a great time and keep those conversations going. What's up?
What's up?
What's up, indeed? That's the perfect way to wrap it up. Always a blast to dive into these big topics with you. Thanks again for the great questions and the awesome energy. Keep those what's up vibes going and catch you next time.